Hello everyone, welcome back to a new video. You clicked on a Q&A to round out 2020, arguably the worst year of mankind given that what's been going on, but we're going to round it out in a positive way. I'm going to have a little Q&A with my video editor Chris Dix, who's on the other side of this mic. Twitter and Instagram today I put out a little poll, send me some questions through. He's going to read out what he thinks are the favourite questions, so could be some pretty interesting ones. So Chris, mate, how are you?
I'm not too bad, James. Thank you for having me on. I mean, it was my idea. However,
you claiming it? You claiming it already?
a different approach to what we did last year. We did a montage last year, didn't we? So
yeah,
nice little sit down, just kind of relax after the year we've had. A year you've had as well. You've had a mega year.
Oh, mate, thank you. Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest, it's been so busy. I've not really talked about it too much. So it's, as you say, nice time. Talk about it all. Talk about the good bits. Talk about the bad bits. There's definitely been a bit of both. So let's crack on, mate.
Sweet. So coming off the back of last year, winning World's Fastest Gamer. Early year, so pre-lockdown. Where was you at? What was going through your head about what this year could give you?
Oh, I was thinking. Well, I didn't know what I was thinking, to be fair, but the real life thing was obviously there, waiting. Didn't know what it was going to be. Didn't know what series. Didn't know what car. Obviously, making loads of content with yourself, who's done a mega job all year. I'm just going to plug you in there at the start before I forget.
Thank you.
To be honest, it was all unknown. I was just trying to keep busy. Life was pretty good. Going out, seeing friends, seeing girlfriend, literally doing normal things. So little did I know what was to come.
Pre-season test in Paul Ricard, literally before lockdown. Was there any nerves getting to the track for the first time? Was there any butterflies?
Thing is, with all nervous situations, I don't really feel it until an hour or two before. Me, Chris Buncombe and Alex Buncombe drove down there to France. It took us about 16 hours. It was a good way to kind of get to know them. There was some nerves, don't get me wrong, but it was good to know what car I was driving. For obviously Jensen's team, did not expect that at the start of the year at all. I thought it was just going to be a GT4 drive, for example, in European GT4. Automatically, when I saw it was GT3, that was a big step up. The morning of the test was horrendous, really, really bad. Felt like I wanted to be physically sick for about an hour, but one of the biggest step-ups of the year.
And you didn't bin it off. I mean, it would be hard to at Paul Ricard for sure, but...
I literally remember, my second lap was, I think it was the same as Chris, and Bob over the team radio, he came across the radio and he said, okay, this pace is good, no quicker, no slower, that's fine. And I literally was like, okay, fine.
How soon did you realise that obviously your European plans had to be put on hold, and then obviously you was given what you eventually raced in was the British GT seat?
I didn't find out till very late on, so 3 weeks before the first race. But that period of uncertainty was horrible. With COVID and the whole world's literally going down the toilet, my racing seat or my drive is probably the least of everyone's worries. When British GT got announced, it initially, again, was quite a bad thing. I saw it as a negative because it's a smaller series. It's not going to Europe. It's not racing on those tracks like Spa, Monza, all those classic tracks. I didn't see the positives at the time, but it was probably a better decision. I wouldn't have been poling it and winning races in Europe in my first year.
Yeah.
Whereas British, we could do that. So I think in British as well, we learned a lot more. The tracks are less forgiving, wetter, because obviously we're in the UK. But it was initially a negative in my eyes, but I got convinced it was a positive. And to be fair, looking back, massive positive.
Alton Park, round one of the season, you managed to bag the win, mate. You technically had pole briefly until obviously it got snatched away.
Yeah.
Did you even conceive that you might even win straight out of the gates?
No way. No, in quali when I did my final lap, that was illegal technically by half a millimetre. When I said on the radio, what position are we? Well, on the in lap, and they said P1, and I literally couldn't believe it. It's one of those moments where if you kind of expect to be first or near the front and you get first, it's a good feeling. But when you expect to be mid-pack and they say P1 over the radio, it's like, what? You just physically can't comprehend what's going on. Didn't think we'd be able to win Alton Park, very narrow track, can't overtake. So when we came across first, mate, yeah, just completely unexpected. So, yeah. And it was so unexpected to the fact where that whole day was a roller coaster of emotions. I didn't eat, I didn't drink in between the two races because there was interviews, I was taking it all in. My phone for social media was going absolutely mental. And then consequently in the second race I felt really ill. So yeah, it was a crazy weekend. I saw you and your girlfriend in the grandstand race 2 in turn 1.
That's mega.
I could flash. I could have waved. I felt so ill though. I literally could not be bothered to. I remember seeing you every lap for about 5 laps, and I thought, mate, I can't be arsed. I'm so ill right now. My head was on my shoulder as I was driving around just to get through. Luckily, we had a safety car, so we could kind of cruise round. If it was a race speed, I think I might have been in trouble.
End of the season, after Silverstone, I mean, you had arguably your best stint. I mean, we've made a video on it, so... Although it was difficult to an extent for you because you wasn't shown that much on TV when you were coming through the pack. You know, sometimes even in Snetterton you were 3 seconds a lap faster, and you know you wasn't there unfortunately.
Yeah.
After Silverstone and everything had kind of finished, was you happy, upset, sad?
Mixed emotions. Sad because it was over. Sad because it was uncertain if I was going to be able to do it again. Sad because we didn't win the championship, which I feel like honestly we could have. We didn't really put a foot wrong all year. We just had some really bad races where we just didn't have pace and they were in the wet. No testing at all. Literally, we had one test in Paul Ricard, the test of Alton Park on the Friday. Like if you're testing in the wet, you figure out stuff and you're further down the line of figuring out stuff when the race comes. Whereas we were literally in the wet, figuring out in the race in quali. On the flip side of the coin, you know, happy we were strong all season. Even in the wet when it was really bad as a team, my own performance compared to Michael, I was fairly happy with. So like. Yeah, very mixed emotions. On another year, or in another year, sorry, we could have easily won the championship, which is really annoying. But that is the way it goes sometimes. It's our first year, can't ask for too much, I suppose. And we certainly made some headlines, should we say? So yeah.
Before we get off of GT3, Snetterton warm up.
Oh, mate.
What?
Why are you doing this to me?
I think we've heard your reaction on the video. Not very clean words, I should say. What did the boys on the radio say?
Well, on the radio, Connor was alright. Connor, the engineer, was fine. You know, it's all about getting the car back. But when I got back and the car was filled with mud, luckily I could go back out again for the rest of the practice session and use the rain to get it off. They weren't best pleased, I'll be honest. I won't repeat what some of them said to me, but that's part of it, isn't it? I got them an extra crate of Corona and donuts on the following Tuesday to make up for it. So
remember that obviously everything was circulating, and I thought to myself, hold on, where's James? And then they circulated again, and I was like, oh, there's a red flag. Oh God, no.
The camera angle that's not on board, but it's like the TV camera. It's such a stupid mistake, isn't it? It looks like I get onto this puddle, steer one way, and the car just flips the other way. It's just, I hate watching it, man. But it is what it is. That was kind of the only real mistake all year. So, given that there was no money involved with that, no crash damage or anything like that, I'll take that all day long.
Post British GT, didn't have much long to wait because you obviously got signed to McLaren Shadow. Where's your head at? Are you fully focused? Are you ready to give it to the big guys? And how would you expect the season's going to go before you even get your race under your belt?
High hopes. Pace in practice, it was a bit compromised. Rounds, event 1, 2 and 3 of F1 Esports were compromised from GT, unfortunately. No two ways about it. My pace in event 1 though, I felt on the whole very good. Bahrain had really good pace. Hanoi weren't the strongest, but China especially I felt really strong. So I thought definitely points, and if everything goes well, maybe a podium or something like that. It just didn't happen, mate. I mean, I underestimated the pressure involved with F1 Esports. It's in a home environment, obviously, for the first time. But when we were doing events pre-corona and stuff, I used to get quite a buzz off the atmosphere at events of people watching you. But and to be fair, another excuse, I hate giving excuses, but I don't really get the best out of myself when I'm in my room at home. I don't know why, I always seem to be better at events. There was a few technical issues which compounded the bad event, so no points in event 1, and I left at event 1, obviously, you know, thinking that maybe a podium was on the cards or definitely points. It all of a sudden went from podiums, you know, maybe I can compete to be a front runner, to I just need to get points for the team. But little did I know how bad it would get before it got better. Event 4 wasn't wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst either. It was pretty solid. F1 esports was tricky, mate. It really was. You know, the best sim racers in the world, putting in all the hours. I mean, I was putting in loads of hours as well, so that's no excuse. And ultimately, maybe I couldn't balance it with everything else going on. Maybe I wasn't ready for it. I feel like I could be up there if everything goes well. But yeah, it just didn't happen this year for some reason.
So much in such a short space of time. I mean, obviously, in the likes of British GT, you had 3 races in August, which is mental, considering how many weeks we have there. And then straight away, F1 esports. So it's been a really busy year for you in such a short space of time. Have you been able to relax? Have you been able to mull over the whole year as a whole? Like, how was this year in comparison to last year, which has been, like you said at that point in time, your best year, you know, with Le Mans, World's Fastest Gamer, everything that came with 2019. How do they stack up against each other?
I don't really think comparing them is fair. I think the level in 2020 has gone up because more people are doing sim racing. It's a growing industry. COVID fast-tracked the growth of it. So more people are doing it, more talent's kind of rising to the top, more people are putting in more hours, equipment, everyone's getting better equipment, it's just all going up. So to try and replicate what happened in 2019 was always going to be impossible. Obviously there's expectation put on you from doing or winning competitions back in 2019. The world's fastest gamer title is a bad one in a way because to the untrained eye looking in as a viewer, if you see the world's fastest gamer down in 13th or 15th or whatever, it's confusing. I mean, it doesn't make sense. So that expectation there was probably never a good thing for me to keep thinking about. At the start of the year, it was obviously there. Everything I did, I went in there to win, because obviously the previous year I did that and it kind of worked. But as I say, the level's gone up. This year is definitely more tricky. From a sim racing standpoint anyway. 2020 had the highest highs I've had ever. Had the lowest lows I've had ever. So it's definitely a more up and down year. And if I look back, and I'll probably say, I prefer 2019 because it all went well pretty much. Whereas 2020 had some pretty low points, but the highs were amazing. Like obviously winning the first race at Alton. So very different years. But I think as the level of sim racing and the whole industry goes up, it is going to be harder to win. I think you've got to kind of lower those expectations a little bit. You can't go and win everything, even if you don't practice properly for it. So that's just the nature of the business. But next year, I know that I've learned from this year in terms of how it's changed, and hopefully I can win a little bit more in the sim racing side of things. That'd be good. Kind of return to the top, should we say?
I guess the next part will probably be get a few questions from your fans, your subscribers, your fan base. We've got a few, mate. So question 1 comes from Harry Racing. Is Jensen as much of a nice guy as he seems online?
Yes, 100%. I met him a few times. Obviously the lead up to Silverstone. Lovely bloke, mate. What can I say? They say never meet your heroes, but again, I met Juan Pablo Montoya. Lovely bloke, same with Jensen. So no complaints. Hopefully, I'm looking forward to meeting him again at some point, but who knows? Next
question coming from Alfstar. What do you think the biggest thing you've learned this year was?
Oh, that is a good question. Biggest thing? I'd say how to deal with the lows and how to bounce back from the lows. That's probably the biggest thing I've learned. Obviously, I've learned how to drive a GT3. I've learned how to do this, do that in the real world. But I'd say how to bounce back from the lows of primarily F1 esports. That's probably been the biggest thing.
Next question coming from the Deem. How difficult is it to mentally take part in esports, and how much do you prepare before each event?
Oh, man, mentally it's draining. Like it's very draining because you put I have 400 plus hours on the game, and it only came out in July. So, and some people had more, some people had less. Mentally, looking at a screen for that amount of time is draining anyway. It's just a different level compared to anything I've done in my entire life. Like there comes a point where it doesn't feel like driving anymore. It feels like you're repeating movements like a robot. Yeah, it's definitely the most mentally challenging thing I've done because it's not really too physical because you're in a rig. Yeah, very tough.
So next few, I want one-word answers from you, okay?
One-word answers?
One-word answer.
All right, mate.
In a film about your life, which actor would you want to play you?
Denzel Washington.
Didn't expect that.
No, I'm joking. I think he's a quality actor. I love what he does, but obviously that wouldn't make too much sense. I'm gonna say Leonardo DiCaprio, because he's good looking, funny, can get the girls, should we say? He's got that about him. So those are three things I haven't got going for me. So if he could fill in those things for me, I mean, it'd be a great movie.
I was interested to see how you was going to navigate that with the girls part. So very, very good save. How many solo Warzone wins do you have?
0. Literally, like, I've come so close. I've finished second about 30 million times. I just haven't won one.
Does pineapple belong on pizza?
No.
Who is your favourite dog in the world?
What's your dog's name, Chris?
Stormy.
Probably Stormy, to be fair.
Sweet, sounds good. Who's the best teammate you've had so far in your career?
Well, I mean, picking the best of a bad bunch is probably the best way to put it. Definitely not Michael O'Brien. I know he's asked that question. But in all seriousness, great teammate. In the real world, obviously, probably my only teammate I've had. So he's obviously the best in the real world. In the virtual world, Danny Moreno was really good this year. I'd say Danny Moreno so far has probably been the best teammate. I think Danny Moreno could be as good, maybe better one day. But yeah.
What car do you own?
Toyota GT86.
Clutch is a bit difficult though, isn't it?
What do you mean?
Nothing. What are you racing in next year?
I don't know. I'm planning it. It's a big part of my winter period is trying to find a way to make it work. Don't know who with. Obviously, if I was to race, I know who I'd want it to be with. I know what championship I want to do. It's not completely in my hands, I'll be honest. And it never will be. Even if you get the results, it's not completely in your hands. There's obviously financial factors that come into it. Yeah, it probably won't be a confirmed yes or no. I am racing till, I guess, February time, something like that, I'm guessing. But yeah, I honestly don't have a clue at the moment. But I'm working on it.
That kind of is a good segue to the last question. Do you think you can make it in real racing without world's fastest gamer backing?
Yeah. I mean, hopefully, they're given the opportunity. They will continue to trust me, and I can do the business for them, and it's a ongoing, lovely relationship. But you never say never. You never know what's around the corner. Opportunities arise all the time. I'd like to say yes, but I haven't done any racing in real life really without them. So I don't know. I don't really know. But we'll wait and see over the next few months and maybe years.
I tell you what, there's one more question.
One more question.
This very handsome devil, where would you be on YouTube without your amazing editor? Don't know, tweeted that in, but
got to be very careful how I answer this one, really, haven't I? Mate, you've done a great job. You've done a great job this year. I hired you at the start of last year. Let's see where we can go. Obviously, without you, I probably would be doing a hell of a lot better, probably on 50,000 subs by now. But that's part of the process. It's all part of the process. So, mate, big love. Hope you had a good Christmas.
I respect that a lot. That was a very good answer. Well, thank you for trusting me. I mean, we've been working together for over a year now.
God, it's turning into a rom-com, mate.
Oh, we better stop. Well, I think that's all it for me with the questions. Thank you for having me on to do this for you, James.
That's right, Chris. Anytime.
Until the next time.
So there you have it. I've just answered some of your questions from Twitter and Instagram. Go and follow me on there if you haven't already, at James Baldwin. But if you liked it, give it a like. Sub to the channel if you really enjoyed it. Leave some comments of what you thought of what I had to say. I mean, I was being completely honest throughout the whole thing, and it's been an up and down year, 2020. A down year for the world, but I've had some pretty high highs, so I cannot complain. And hopefully 2021 is even better. That's the goal. Lots of winning to be done, lots of work to be done, and lots of content to be made. So have a good start to 2021, you lot. But I guess until the next video, I'll see you soon. Before I get bollocked, it's definitely Indy. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of the viewers won't have a clue what I'm talking about, but it's basically my girlfriend's dog.